Hey, everybody. Dave hasn't remembered anything since the Coldplay concert.
That was something else.
Is it just me? Or is it getting crazier out there?
Sorry to cut you off, Dave, but Dave, what happened to the man in black? You had to put a shirt on anyway.
I needed my Hawaiian shirt back on.
I said, Dave, before the show, are you going with just the black tee? Or he goes, well, I have to. It's been, and look, and now he puts it on. So, hey, everybody, welcome to Late Late Horror Show. I am Dino, or this is Paranormal Into the Night. Remembering our bell. Yes, but hello. I bow to you. Welcome everybody, and yeah, Dave, that's too good. If nobody knows what that means right now, because it went viral, it's just crazy. The Coldplay concert, the man and the woman hugging, and they just duck out of the way. Oh, that was just priceless. Anyways, please be sure to hit that thumbs up button. All that good stuff, and we're going to talk about a Men in Black, specifically.
We're not doing open lines.
No open lines, but we are going to talk about Art Bell. This is all about remembering Art Bell. We're going to talk Men in Black. There is a lot to discuss about Men in Black. Is it just all fake? Is there something to it? Is it real? Well, there's so many multi-layered things going on, Dave, when it comes to Men in Black. But
they even brought in Mothman.
Yes, well, because many Men in Black appeared during that time, the Mothman prophecy, when the Mothman sighting hit back in 66, 67, because somebody brought up about a woman in black. Was there ever women in black? And he said, the only one I ever remember was, and then and we'll talk about that in a few. But I did want to mention, Dave, this takes place, this episode, July 24th, 1997. I'll say hello to everybody in a second. July 24th, 1997, with Jim Keith. And he was 47 here. And 2 years later, at the age of 49, he died under mysterious circumstances. People would say maybe not, but he was at a Burning Man festival, and he fell, broke a knee. Next day, blood clot happens. And the reason I bring this up was he was so young, 49.
Yeah.
He wrote 7 books. A lot of it has to do with the black helicopters, Men in Black, government conspiracy theories. It happens so much, so I brought it up. Anyways, good to see everybody in the chat today. Hey, J.O.B. What is it? Yeah, Dave's looking at the chat. A little blurry there. He's got to put some Windex on his he's got
my microfiber.
Yeah, Dave was kissing the camera a little earlier. Hey, Horror Junkie for Life, what's going on? J.O.B. Edward Stewart, Harry Scott, hi boy donuts to you. Radstar, Albert Jacobs is here. Lizzie, Connie, of course. Albert, Raj, what is going on? Good to see you. Mr. Ed is here. I'm trying to remember back. Andrea, each and every one of you. Kathy is here. Good to see you. Hello, everyone. Gigi is here. Good to see you, Gigi. Gigi talked about how much she loves to hear you talk about your plants and your videos on your channel.
It's very nice.
Yes, it was so nice. Nathan, hello. Good to see you. I think that's everybody. Ezra, what's going on, Ezra? If I missed anybody, I'm very sorry, but we're about to talk about Men in Black. And, you know, people think about the Men in Black, Dave, coming like the first appearance like being like 1940, 1950. Oh, go ahead.
We should first talk about Art Bell.
Yes, I will shut up. And Dave, why don't you go ahead and tell us what this show is all about and tell us who Art Bell is.
So about every month, and what got us broadcasting together was our love of Art Bell, late night radio, and we have done these monthly, I would say. We're 21, 22.
Close enough.
Now. And, we paid tribute to Art Bell by talking about some of his old shows. We talk a lot about Ghost to Ghost. We've talked about Bob Lazar. We've talked about backwards speech and everything like that. Art Bell was an old-time radio announcer back in the 1990s, was really the glory period of his show. And he would broadcast from Nye County, Nevada, anywhere basically from 10 p.m. all the way to 5 a.m. His shows were like 5 to 7 hours long live. And we would catch him late at night, and just very addictive shows. And there's been no one better since. So
we are remembering him because, yes, there's nothing on the air like him today. George Norrie just doesn't do it.
That's a bad name on our show.
Nobody does, really. And J.O.B. says, this Art Bell episode was in 1997. There's a great chance I was laying in bed. Exactly. I mean, 1997, I was doing the same thing. He would keep me up every night till 5 a.m. I mean, it just was ridiculous. Here on the East Coast, I think around 5 a.m. is when it stopped, the live show. So very cool. And hello, Karen Banks. And welcome to the channel, Tin Man.
Nice.
Good to have a new person in the chat. Good to see you, Tin Man. Welcome. Always interesting and fun. We got to always have fun when we talk. But I was going to bring up, Dave, this thing about Men in Black. 1940s, 1950s. Roswell, this is when, UFOs, flying saucers start to occur. But as Jim Keith was talking about in this episode, Men in Black have been around forever. Like the 1500s, 1600. I mean, there's many dates throughout history where people that are similar to Men in Black, it's always described as, like, in the 1500s, men in silk black like outfits or whatever, and hats, and they're either in those black cars or in, like he said, in a black coach. So I mean, can you imagine, like, say the 1700s, these two men in black coming on a coach just pulling up to you, and then the way they are, very emotionless and very, just different, in appearance and asking questions. It would freak people out. Yeah.
I would imagine they would have black horses as well.
I would probably, yeah. Oh, and that's another thing he mentions. A lot of things like black dogs in England, and lots of myths with creatures, even like the fairy. Before, who was it? Shakespeare made them into like a fun type of little fairy. That's flying around. But they used to be like dark, kind of monstrous creatures.
Yeah, in the same vein as goblins and witches and things like that.
Yeah. Hey, Kiawa. Hola from Madrid. Good to see you. Welcome to the chat. But yeah, no. It brought me along to thinking, I know there's the Men in Black that we all know. The famous, like, two guys in black suits, sunglasses, pulling up in a weird car, asking questions, pushing on people who, are, have seen a UFO, have something to say or something like that. There's that. Okay. But then there's all the rest. And it makes me believe that there's a mindset with people. I think once we get an image or something in our head, we think of that image, that perception of the man in black. And I think when certain things happen in our life, like whether they're paranormal or whatever, we kind of bring that into the picture. And I think that's where we get all these other things that we'll talk about throughout this episode, where, they could be interdimensional, they could be paranormal, they could be literally government, agents coming to knock on your door. So and I want to talk about the different types of Men in Black too, but go ahead, Dave.
There's not much difference than Men in Black and the IRS. Both are scary. Both have serious faces. Both are dressed in black. Both show up in government vehicles. There is that, as John Swan says, ominous and foreboding aura about these individuals. And as we heard in the broadcast, they've been shutting up witnesses since the 1500s.
Yep. Anybody who wants to get information out there, or even way back then, when they have like experiences where I've seen an angel or something like that, you get these Men in Black appearing like in the 1600s and during the plague and stuff like that, where they just show up and they start asking questions, and it's where I would hop into the other thing. We got a lot to talk about this, where
we do. There's so many different pathways, and
they could be time travelers. I mean,
they could be,
but you were saying government people, agents like the IRS.
Yeah, but I mean, even like, we see this a lot in X-Files so far. It's just very serious people, men behind, in business suits and in offices, and have that air of superiority. I loved as well where they talk about this is at the same time the Men in Black movie is coming out, and I think Keith said that he called it a glorified Ghostbusters film. But yes, I think there is something that has to do with the desensitization of the Men in Black with that film.
Oh, I think the film itself is part of a whole, Hollywood started hitting us with all kinds of, even in the 50s and 60s with UFOs, flying saucers, aliens coming from outer space. And yes, it's kind of a disinformation. It's also kind of a, desensitizing us towards what could be. Like Art Bell says all the time, if people knew that there were aliens out there, it would just make people go nuts, and everybody would be in mental institutions because it would just throw everything off kilter. Oh my God, I'm, religious. So how could I possibly think there's an alien species out there? We're supposed to be the divine being. You know what I mean? The species. It's just, it's crazy. It's crazy. But yes, Dave. Oh, holy moly.
You mean holy JoJo?
Yeah, Dave had a black shirt on. $50 super chat. Thank you, JoJo. Hoping for just a black t-shirt to go with the theme. Dave had just a black t-shirt on before, and I said, good, you're going with Men in Black. Yeah, and he put the Hawaiian shirt on. I don't know. He's aloha. Thank you very much, JoJo. Everybody wish JoJo a belated birthday. Happy birthday, JoJo. Not belated, today birthday. It's her birthday today. Happy birthday, JoJo. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear JoJo. Happy birthday to you.
And it's been absolutely beautiful here on the West Coast. So it's kind of nice to have a birthday in the summer that's not 100 degrees.
Yes. And thank you again. Thank you. I appreciate that. You know that. Anyways, okay, now I'm thrown off kilter here. Okay. Oh, you were talking about Men in Black, looking like, real people going to door, knocking. A lot of the experiences that people had with Men in Black also are where they come. They're hairless. Most of the time they're hairless. And the one guy says, Jim Keith says in the interview, no lips. And it looks like they take black lipstick and like make a little,
right,
put on lipstick, and I'm like going, what the heck? I mean, it's really crazy. So that's got to be, if true. Thank you again. I just want to say one more time, thank you. So Dave, I think there's a paranormal element to this, and I think
There has to be, if that's true.
Yes, if that's true. Yes.
Yeah, and I think there are different classifications of Men in Black. Earlier today, I'm sorry, Raj had mentioned a question for me.
It's 102 degrees. No way. Happy birthday.
No.
Yeah, that's. Anyways.
I thought you were up in Santa Barbara, JoJo.
Rune Game. Oh, go ahead.
Raj was saying, is Men in Black and shadow people the same thing?
No. Go ahead, Dave.
There's certain parts where it can be, where there can be some Men in Black that are similar to shadow people, but for the most part, they're totally separate.
Yeah, totally separate. And I get what you're saying, Dave. People throughout history, when it comes to Men in Black, they've also talked about, I mean, there's occult entities that they would consider Men in Black being, which are spiritual beings that are summoned or bound by ritual. And they come with strange auras, just fully black. Fear-inducing presence usually comes after an occult ritual or something like that. So there is that. Again, there's also ancient archetypes, which are demons, trickster spirits, ancients of the order, of course. But yeah, I mean, it's just, comparisons to, fairies, biblical watchers, stuff like that. I mean, Men in Black throughout history have been talked about in many different ways. But on the Art Bell show, it was usually the men with the sunglasses and the IRS agents. You know what I mean? So. Yeah. Very interesting, for sure. And rune word gaming. Shadow people were completely different. Oh yes, no, I agree. Dave was making a different type of point, but yeah, no. But rune word. Again, let me go through this real quick, Dave. I want to get this out of my. We got the government agents, Men in Black. Okay, we got the ETs in disguise. Men in Black, who could be sent here from the ships, whatever, from another dimension, whatever, to question people about the abductions, the experiences they're having that are being done by them, which could also make them artificial intelligence or robot type beings. There's also the time traveler aspect of things, where they could be these people throughout history, throughout time, who are time traveling, getting the information, coming back. There could be that. Agents from the future trying to maintain. This is another thing they talk about on the show. Time traveling, trying to fix things that have screwed up or happened in the past. Although I don't go with that, because I think you can't change the past. And whenever something changes in the past, it splits off like a tree. Art Bell has talked about this. So has Michio Kaku, where, the old idea where if you go back in history and you kill yourself, are you just gone? You know what I mean? No, because when something happens, another line goes off that tree. So another dimension, another... so yeah,
it's almost like a parallel universe.
Yes, it's very complicated, but yes. And there's, of course, the hoaxers and the copycats. People who they're doing whatever. I mean, whatever, pretending to be Men in Black to scare and control others, stuff like that. So go on, Dave. I don't know where you want to go. Hey, James, what's going on? Good to see you.
I actually wanted to go right into Dr. Hopkins and his story from this 1976.
Yes, very good one. And Jim from The Mummy and the Monkey. What is going on, my friend? Good to see you here. And Karen Banks, good to see you. Yes, Dr. Hopkins. I will shut up, Dave, and let you talk about this. I'm excited about this. Is a very interesting story too, but go ahead.
It is. I enjoyed, for the 2.5 hours of this program, I really enjoyed all the stories that this guy was telling. But he
Yes.
was definitely telling stories he wanted to tell. And even when Art Bell asked him a question,
Hmm.
he's like, let me revert back into a story I want to tell you in the future. I
Yeah.
didn't hear a lot of real back and forth with this guy. But Dr. Hopkins, this happened in May of 1976, for those of us who were still alive back then. He was hypnotically regressing UFO abductees.
Yes. He was in Maine, and yes, kind of researching. Go on.
And he got a visit from the Men in Black. And he said that they were tall, that they were bald,
Yes.
dead white skin. I love that
Oh yeah.
interpretation. It wasn't just white, it was dead white.
Yeah.
Uh,
Pale. No hair.
no hair,
No
lips,
eyebrows.
lips painted on,
Yes.
monotone in voice, and they could communicate through ESP.
Yes.
And to me, this is definitely that paranormal Men in Black
Yes.
rather than the government Men in Black,
100%.
coming to you. And he goes, he goes up to the doctor and he goes, you have a dime and a penny in your pocket. The guy reaches in his pocket.
Bring out the penny.
Sure enough, there's a
in
dime
your
and a
left.
penny.
Yes.
And he turns the penny silver and then blue, and then it disappears.
Yes, it dematerialized.
And he starts talking about, this guy who just died, Barney Hill?
Yeah, of a
had a
heart
heart-
attack.
Heart
Yes.
attack. And
And Benny and Barney Hill is the very popular case where they were abducted and missing time, and there's movies out there of it. It's just the stories out there, and lots of corroborating evidence with that. But go ahead, Dave.
well,
Take your sip first. Go ahead. Come on, we got time. Here we go.
Is that ginger ale, by the way?
Yeah, it's ginger ale.
Cool. Yeah, I'm doing tea myself. So, but anyway, the Men in Black says that Barney didn't die of a heart attack.
Okay, go ahead.
Excuse me. The same
Oh,
thing that
geez.
happened.
Yeah. Okay, there we go, Dave.
All right. So,
go ahead.
are you sure?
Yeah, well, I'm just Vlad Putin. I mean, I think I'm hiding it. Bye. Anyways, I'll catch that before it got out of control is what I was going to do.
All
Okay, go, Dave. Oh.
Yeah.
Back on track.
All right.
Wheels
We're talking about Barney Hill. He had a heart attack. And the Men in Black says basically he didn't have a heart attack. The same thing that happened to that penny happened to his heart. And that same thing can happen to you. And
I did not understand the correlation, though. I mean, I understand he's trying to scare him and say, listen, you could die like Barney, you know what I mean, Hill. But the penny, this dematerializing, like, so his heart just dematerialized. So yours can dematerialize. I mean, that was weird. Am I wrong?
It was odd, but I think it was the end point where, like, we can take care of you in ways you never thought of. And so,
yeah,
the doctor, Dr. Hopkins, all of a sudden, I imagine him doing a little Benny Hill, rushing around to some music, burning all of his tapes and books, papers, and he didn't even talk about it the rest of his life. His kids went up to Keith and told him this story.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. I mean, he wouldn't say anything. He didn't want to say anything, but his kids eventually told this story, and it kind of makes it more legit. And, you kind of laugh and giggle at a lot of these stories, you know what I mean? Because we've got movies that are kind of, Men in Black is kind of a comedy, that, make us feel a certain way when you talk about it. And there's real experiences with, that can be backed up by witnesses and other people. And, I don't know how, if you don't believe, you don't believe, but it's, I'm like, how can you deny all the stuff that's happened? You know what I mean? You just can't deny it, Dave.
Yeah.
Stop telling me no. Well, I don't know. I was getting out of hand there, but go ahead, Dave.
You weren't that out of hand.
No, oh, I was all right. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a really, really interesting story, Dave.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
The next,
And Francis did say it's starting during the Dark Ages, but listen, I think throughout history, a lot of these things have been going on, and these people have been the Watchers. If you believe in almighty beings that are, if you go way back to the fallen angels and when everything kind of started to happen, we could go into a whole different direction. I interviewed some guests way back. There's Watchers that watch and see what's going on with civilizations, not just here, but across the universe. And who knows? Who knows? Dave, go.
I'm going to answer Francis McCloskey's question there.
There you go.
Back during the Renaissance, and even the early part of the Renaissance, the late Gothic, there are some really cool paintings where you do have images of like UFOs and possible aliens, things like that in these paintings. I'm actually trying to put together some of the images to even include in a separate standalone presentation for my classes, just
Nice.
because I think it's a fun entryway drug into studying art. And there's one painting, I think it's by Botticelli. It might be by Raphael, and it's where you have all these women dancing around in a circle, and they're literally brought up into this light where this almost UFO type craft is above this home, and it's really quite stunning. So
what color were their clothes? What were they wearing?
I would be colorblind, and so I couldn't really tell you that.
So not black, though.
Not black, no.
Okay. Any specific instances you remember of people being in black? In
The problem that you have with black
it
during
was a
that
common
period
color. Yeah.
is that when you paint,
Yeah.
because you're painting in what's called tempera paint,
Mm.
some of the minerals, such as azurite, which is blue,
Mm.
the chemical reaction shows the rotting of the egg, and the blue comes out as black now because just of the age of the product. So you don't, it's like, was that intended to be black, or do you actually scrape underneath it and find the azurite, which is blue? So there are some issues. You see, in fact, you see a lot of Madonna and Child with Madonna wearing a black cloak. She's not wearing black, she's wearing blue. And it's just because you're seeing the rotted egg. So
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Oh yeah, I knew that from art. Yes, I do. I remember. Hey, Sweet Indigo, what's going on? Good to see you.
hello, sweet.
And yeah, of course, there's so many depictions on, again, from cave walls to paintings that depict aliens, UFOs. I'm trying to remember, and I don't think even Jim Keith talked about actual old paintings of men in black, but he would talk about other things that were in black. But anyways, I do like the next story. Hey, Bubba, what's going on? Good to see you, Bubba. I do like the next story that they get into about the
Is this the guy who's fighting cancer?
yes, the father who
Yeah.
was dying and fighting through cancer. Oh my God, what a story. And I guess basically his wife died a couple months earlier of a heart attack or something, I think, but he was fighting cancer in his jaw and something like that.
He had what had happened was he had been fighting cancer this entire time.
Yeah.
Everyone thought he would predecease his wife, but then she died of a heart attack.
That's right.
And
Okay.
and that really, of course, when your spouse dies and you're really close, you're going to probably pass away very closely thereafter.
But he had his son and his sister there, and I guess he got a call from his sister, to come here, and something's going on with dad and stuff like that. And the guy started talking about, oh my God, Dave, I'm getting a little, my anxiety's getting. Don't ask me why. Maybe you want to finish the story real quick. Yeah, no, go
It's all right. Yeah. So, the dad was pretty messed up with cancer to the point where, he lost his nose, his jaw, his teeth, just an awful, awful ending. His wife dies of a heart attack. And so his main goal is to see this cemetery tombstone that he's got made for her and them. And one day his sister calls and, calls the brother who's telling the story. And she's all like, Dad wants to go home. And he's like, what home do you want to go to? And he's all like, my childhood home. And so he's all like, sorry, we can't go there. Your mom passed away and they sold the house. So then a day or so later, the dad seems to be totally with it. And he's all, hey, I'm sorry for freaking out the other day. These guys came to me and told me that I would be joining my mom, my wife soon, this kid's mom. And, and basically the Men in Black had visited. And so I thought that was a very great and poignant story. It's something that we see a lot with hospice nurses telling these stories where individuals come to these people right before they pass away. And this happened to my grandmother. It happened to my neighbor up the street, Mrs. Johnson.
My grandmother too. Yeah.
I'm sorry?
My grandmother too. Yeah. She had people coming to see her right before. So yeah. No.
Yeah. And so, I remember Mrs. Johnson standing in the middle of the street. My mom's driving home. She's all, what's going on? You need some help? And she's all, there's people down at the end of the street that want me to come and join them. And, there was nobody down there. And of course, she passed away a couple days later. So it is just something that's very, very unique. And I don't know if this story is truly a Men in Black story or just something along the line of if Men in Black are angels in a way.
Well, again, that was the point. And sorry, I haven't had that happen in a long time.
Probably the pizza.
But yeah, who knows? Oh my God. Good thing I got the ginger ale with me. But yeah, sometimes that happens when I'm talking about things dealing with death and stuff like that. But anyways, get off of that real quick. But the interesting thing was the guy wanted to go back to his childhood home, and when he talked to his son and his daughter after that, he said, oh, I'm sorry, my mind's back. But there were these Men in Black type characters coming, asking me or talking, to me. So, so yeah, Men in Black and many different, types of stories, and yeah, could they be angels, and why do they appear? I think that's the point I was trying to make at the beginning. Why do they appear as Men in Black in many different situations? Like for this man, and for instance, is it just that's the thought process in his head is the first thing to come to image or imagine?
Well, I think it's interesting
I don't know
that they showed up in a very positive sense, because most of the time when we're interacting with these figures, it's not positive. And I do want to say hello to both Bubba, who's normally on Sundays, and Marshall.
Marshall. So, yes, welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you, Lizzie. Says breathe, Dino. Yeah, no, it's very rare. Usually it don't happen when I'm on camera because it's just an hour and a half. But I mean, a lot of people know I deal with anxiety and panic attacks. And I think 4 years ago when I was on a stream, I had to shut down the stream right away because the panic started coming on. And yeah, I don't know why. I think it was triggered by the talking about the thing. But just to be open with you guys, this is what I deal with. So in life, and don't feel sorry for me. I'm okay. But it is what it is. Grace, good evening, everyone. Nice to see a lot of different names popping up in the chat. Love all you regulars. It's good to have the family grow. So good to have new people.
Absolutely.
But yeah, no, that was
new. Check out our past shows as well. We do this every Sunday. We get together at 5:00 Pacific, 8 p.m. on the East Coast. And we talk everything from paranormal to Wild Wild West to Columbo and all sorts of fun things. We're going to be talking about Scooby-Doo soon, but more on that at the top of the hour.
Yes, top of the hour. We'll let you guys know everything that's happening. Now we get to, I think, what was brung up about the Mothman incident. And this is, am I wrong, or was there something else?
Quite yet. There was one other story I'll touch briefly on.
Yes, lead on, Dave, and I will follow.
This was one of my favorites because it dealt with art, and it not Art Bell, but physical art. It was a fact story, and it said that I was putting on an art show, and the theme was space, and particularly it came around to UFO abduction.
Yeah.
So I'm in my apartment. I think it was in New York. My girlfriend Jody, she gets up, and she says that there were black figures in the room, and this was my correlation to both to the shadow people in that they kind of masqueraded as, you know, these figures in your room at night. You open your eyes, and then all of a sudden, you know, they got kind of flit away.
Hold on, Dave. Can we pause there a second?
Yes.
Hello, Marshall. Thank you for. I'm glad you are digging the OTR. And Grace said, what did Grace say? I saw Art Bell and clicked on. Well, listen. If you go to my homepage at the bottom, if you scroll down just a little bit, you'll see all of our Paranormal Into the Night shows. So this is episode 22, technically, of Remembering Art Bell. So we've got a lot of Art Bell talk that we've done, and some very, very good shows. So, thank you. And holy Moses, Becca Too Tall, you shrunk, and now you're back to tall again. Good to see you. It's been a long time. So good to see you. And I'm sorry to interrupt, Dave, but go ahead. Thought I'd mention
okay.
that.
Maybe CM is out there too.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. It's been so long since we've seen CM. Yeah. Anyways, Dave, abduction.
Yeah. Jody wakes up. There's black figures in the room, and she, when she would come home from like work or things like that, windows would be open. There was just this feeling that, you know, things have been rearranged, moved around. Someone's been in the apartment since they've been gone. And one day she calls her boyfriend who sent this fax over to look out the window, and they're up on the third floor. They look down, and there's two men in black, and they're just staring up at him, you know? And the guy goes, I nervously waved, you know? And the guy's like, you know, like we're looking at you, you know, and observing you. The guy moves away from the window, and then Jody is like, they vanished. They just disappeared. They didn't walk away. They vanished. And I thought that was such a cool story. And
interdimensional beings.
Stories I like to hear.
Yeah. Interdimensional beings, Dave. I mean, you know. I'm still perplexed on how many different varieties, or if you want to call it that, of Men in Black there are. I mean, it's just
like a whole bunch of different types of aliens. You know, if we had Linda Moulton Howe on, she would explain to us how, like, you know, you have the Greys, you have this, you have the Nordics, you have this and that. And I think we'd have the same with Men in Black. We have the government Men in Blacks. We have the supernaturals. We have the tall ones, the bald ones, the ones with attenuated fingers. Those scared me a little bit.
Yeah.
And so it's very scary. And I hope they don't meet with me after the show.
Yeah, we've covered shadow people, haven't we? Or did we not cover it? I mean, we've talked about it many
talked
times.
about it in general in some of our early Art Bell shows, but we haven't covered a shadow people open lines or anything like that.
Yeah, Marshall is talking about the shadow people, but tonight we're talking about Men in Black. So yeah,
what was that Native American person's name?
Oh, you're please. My mind's too all over the place.
Tell us, who was it?
Yeah, who was the guest? It came on a lot. Oh my God, why don't I know it? I can't say it offhand. But anyway,
Walking Stick or something like that.
Oh God, I can't remember. But anyways,
Wolf.
Wolf. What's the guest that was always on? Wolf. Dave, why did you do that?
The internet.
Somebody will say it. Okay. Anyways.
Now Karen's brought up Mothman. We can go to Mothman now.
Okay. Yeah. No.
And I would love to do a Mothman show. I think that would be fantastic.
Yeah. I know we've talked about all these topics many times, but I don't think we've dedicated a full show on.
We haven't dedicated a full show to Bigfoot either.
We haven't.
No.
Okay. Well, we better get on. Robert Ghostwolf. There you go.
Thank you, James.
Robert Ghostwolf. That's
Jim.
Geez. Yeah, Jim. Yeah. Listen, my brain freezes, man, when I'm trying to think of, especially at this moment. It's a little all over the place because of the anxiety. I don't know why. But anyways, Mothman prophecies. We get into talking about this because a woman brings up has he ever heard of any women in black? And Jim Keith says, there's really only one time that he knows of, although I think he goes into talking about there were others, but the main one was during the Mothman incident in 1966 and 67, where Dave, go ahead.
Grace says, I definitely enjoyed the Mothman Festival in Point Pleasant, West Virginia.
Okay,
That's
very
awesome.
nice. Yes. The Mothman Day. Yes, we need to dedicate a show to that because that is just that story. So many facts came from there, so many sightings, so many incidents, and it also led to tons and tons of UFO sightings. Dave, you got a rat down there? What's going on? Oh, Bo. I don't know. Looked like you were chasing something down underneath the desk. Well, wait a second. What's under Dave's desk? Oh, we may do what's in Dave's drawer at the top of the hour. That'll be fun. But during the Mothman incident, where there were like a ton of UFO sightings, talks of seeing, of abduction stories too during that time period. But it was during that time period that a lot of men in black were showing up to people's houses and, yes, scaring the living daylights out of them. So whether they were there, Dave, to get information from the people or to shut people up about what just happened, I don't know. But lots of men in black reportings and lots of different paranormal events going on at the same time during the Mothman incident in 66, 67. You got anything thrown there? Yeah.
They tied this in a lot to psychological control of the populace as well.
Yeah. So, like that isn't always happening, Yeah. A day in the life of living on the planet Earth, right? Okay, I'll stop. If I go missing, what?
J.O.B. says, if you do a Bigfoot show, you'll need to watch the In Search of Leonard Nimoy episode. One of my favorites, one of the classics, second only to the Loch Ness Monster episode.
We could throw in an episode of In Search of and that Leonard Nimoy Bigfoot episode. You know what I mean?
Hold on.
Dave's going right to it to jot it down.
Hold on.
So I think in the future, we're going to cover that In Search of episode.
Oh, God, so good.
We'll see how it goes, and maybe that will become part of the rotation.
Well, I think we'll just do a general In Search of.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah.
And why don't we do that in October?
Perfect. Sounds good to me. I love it. Hey, Stephen. Welcome. Good to have you here. Let's see. Was Indrid Cold a Men in Black? I don't remember. Was Indrid Cold? Does anybody know what Stephen is talking about?
That I don't know. I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah, be more specific, Stephen. I'm not sure. But Dave, yeah, great idea. That's for sure. But yeah, where should we go next, Dave? I'm still laughing like crazy over hasn't remembered anything since the Coldplay concert. I'm not even going to talk about it. It's so funny.
Did you want to talk about the Kennedy assassination?
Sure, go for it. Yeah.
We also had Hitler encountered.
Both of those we could touch on. Though they're both very interesting. So
and that's true. Hitler. It was said that he woke up and he had nightmares of Men in Black and all of that. And I'm glad something scared him.
Well, the whole thing with Hitler is in that regime during the period there in Germany during World War II, where they supposedly uncovered a downed UFO, and they were back. Listen, they had some of the greatest technology of the time, and Hitler was in charge of it. So lots of UFO stuff, lore there, and I can see Men in Black maybe being a part of that as early as 1942 there. So yeah, I thought that was very intriguing. Showing up in his dreams and scaring him, there's the alien connection, So yeah, 100%, Dave.
And then with the Kennedy assassination, in one of the videos, not sure if it was the Zapruder film or not, but it showed a man in black with a cap on, a cape, sorry, and a old-fashioned hat.
What's a man doing on the streets wearing a cape, Dave? Who wears a cape?
The lawyer for Frank Costanza.
Seinfeld reference. Maybe we should go and say hello, says Elaine. And Jerry says, no, I think that's too weird that George's father is talking to a man on the street with a cape. It was just so good. Anyway,
why couldn't you say hello?
Why didn't you say hello?
Well, Elaine, I knew it was Elaine.
It was Elaine. Anyways, more people should wear capes.
And then at the very end, it's like, who are you? I'm Frank Costanza's lawyer. When they're standing on the bridge in a jump.
Yeah, Stephen, I'd have to definitely dive deeper into, and we're going to dedicate a show to the Mothman prophecies, and that Art Bell show, because you probably are right. I do understand what you're referring to now. We're about the man in black that came with John Keel. So we'll talk about that. But yeah, I get what you're saying right now. I couldn't give you any deep down. I couldn't do a deep down dive on it at the moment. But yes, you're right. But anyways, Dave, go ahead. JFK, the man had a cape.
Yeah, there was. This
is
guy.
That video out there?
They didn't mention that. But they said it was, but I have not seen it.
Okay.
There was this also person by the last name of Castillo, who in the late 60s had an attempt on Marcos over in the Philippines. Said that he was He was controlled by a man in black, and he was also in the U.S. in 1963 as part of allegedly that association, that attempt. So
very interesting. So that would lend to time traveling. Men in Black as being time travelers, and maybe possibly knowing this big event was about to happen, and not fixing it though. Maybe it's something that needed to happen in history, but as a watcher, maybe. I don't know. It's interesting, but it kind of fits in there, I think. Could be.
At this point, too, of the show, they kind of switched over and talked about John Lear and about not going to the light. And I really like that as well.
Again.
That was great.
Again, yes.
And now I'm upset you didn't ask him about that when you interviewed him.
Dave, when I interviewed John Lear,
yes,
it was the weirdest opening, or before I went on air, with a guest that I've ever had. He's telling me, what's this noise? What's the clicking? We better switch over to something else and do this a different way and stuff. And I'm just like, and then what was going on, and then the video. John Lear was behind his desk with piles of stuff everywhere. I'm like going, this is old school investigating here
Oh,
with
yeah.
John Lear. But we had to switch over to audio because of all of the trouble we were having just to even go on the air with the audio, the video, and the sounds that were being made. And he goes, yeah, that usually happens, So I'm like going, dang, but didn't even think to ask him that. But yes, Art Bell again. Listen, I think he was just obsessed with it, and he talked to Jim Keith about it because Art, he had John Lear say, "Don't go to the light." And again, blanket statement. I'm not saying anything about going to the light or the dark, but he says it's a trick. Go to the dark. And to this day, I'm just like, why was Art fixated with that? Maybe because of the question itself, but it's just one man. John Lear had nothing to really back that up with. I mean, he just said, not that I remember, Dave. I mean, there was nothing that back there. He just says, I think it's a trick. I don't really think he even backed it up with anything. But anyways, it is what it is. It is what it is.
Yeah, I've seen Lear's room a couple of times and it kind of reminded me very similar to Art Bell's studio, very similar to George Knapp's studio. And I think that's a good point, that they are old school reporters and piles of paper. And even, now it might be a good thing to bring in the idea of Tesla. And when he died, how, he was basically erased from the world. In terms of all of his personal belongings, where Men in Black came in and took, the equipment, took all the notes, things like that.
Oh yeah, 100%. Let me cover this first.
Yes.
Marshall, I wouldn't call it murdered, but listen, there was, again, he died 2 years after doing this interview with Art Bell. We're talking Jim Keith here. He wrote 7 books on black helicopters, government conspiracies, Men in Black. So he was touching a lot of things and talking about a lot of things that, hit at accusations towards, conspiracies in the government. So was it an accident? He was at the Burning Man festival. He fell. He thought he sprained his knee, he said, but the next day, yes, he's in ICU because he broke his knee. And I guess he had something with his kidney there was something wrong with his kidney, and ended up getting a blood clot that went directly to his lungs, and he died instantly. So you can call it what you want. It is weird, but is it coincidence? It quite well could be just coincidence. I mean, who the heck knows? I don't know. And there was another question. Oh my God.
It was, where do we find these episodes?
Okay. J.O.B. Yes. They're from, YouTube has a lot, but
yes,
I dug into my own personal collection, which I have 82 gigabytes of, and I'm trying to find a way to get it to Dave. I could always snail mail it, like Linda Moulton Howe would say. P.O. box it to you, Dave. No, I should do it that way. But
and there is still a podcast you can find, Ricola, Reekola,
okay.
Midnight, Midnite, and she lists all these old broadcasts as well.
There you go. Cool. A couple places you can listen. You do a search for an episode, you will find it on the internet. That's all I'll say.
Yeah.
That's all I'll say. I did miss this back there. The Exorcist, didn't he wear a cape? Yeah, he wore a cape. But it wasn't common. I mean, not everybody was wearing. I'd like to wear a cape. Dave. A felt black cape.
It would be cool.
Yeah, with
I'd
my
want something
Doc Martens.
a little bit more heavier. So just in case someone comes and stabs you in the back.
Oh,
You're safe.
some black male. Is that male? Yeah. Rivendell male.
Just,
Some
it's just kind of like,
Elven
what
man.
is that? The Matrix guy. Didn't the Matrix guy have a super heavy cape on?
Well, in the Matrix, yes, I think I do believe you are right. Yeah. Matrix, such good movies, man. But yeah, okay, Dave. You know what? We're almost at the top of the hour. Let's do a couple things and then we'll get back to the episode. You
All
still
right.
got stuff to talk about, right?
Yes, we do. We have a lot of the callers.
Okay, well, I can't wait to get to that. But
All right, in Carrie class, I don't know why you didn't get a notification.
Listen, it's boring. I won't go into it. When you do subscribe to a channel, it asks you if you want to be notified for all of the shows, some of the shows, or none of the shows. Yes. Why would somebody subscribe and not want to be notified for? But some don't. They just know to go to the channel at a certain time. So that's probably why it's tricky. You hit subscribe and a drop down comes down, and then you go. I don't know why it's so complicated, but it is sometimes. But anyways, cape, walking cane, and a top hat style. Gee, you know what? I mean, that is what I'd like to. I'd look like a weirdo walking down the street if I really wanted to wear what I wanted to wear. I know, Dave. I already look like a weirdo. I know. YouTube is famously glitchy. Yeah,
You should have seen Aiden dressed up in junior high school with a weird Joker
top
stuff. Man, that was scary.
No, it was a derby. He wore a derby.
Oh, okay, that was it. Yeah. Pulled it off though. Pulled good for him.
Yeah, the derby's on the Phantom of the Opera back here. This is a 1920s derby, Dave.
Oh wow.
I've got the label in there, everything. It's just way too small for my head. But that's a real 1920s derby. If I can see, I can't in this darkness find the manufacturer. But it goes on Frankie. But it's a real good in shape, as you can see, very old label derby, and I love this thing. I found it at a thrift store a long time ago, and have always kept it. So there you go. Okay, top of the hour, Dave. Let's let everybody know what is going on. First of all, thumbs up to everybody, not to everybody, but please hit that like button and give us a thumbs up. And a thumbs up to everybody in the chat. Thank you. Love you. Dave, what do we got coming up?
I'm glad you asked. The next time we are together, we're going to be talking about the Wild, Wild West. And it's the night of the red-eyed madman. So I can't wait for that episode. It's been so long since we covered a Wild, Wild West. We did the last one in April.
Wild, Wild West. I haven't. Yeah, April, right? May, June, July. What the?
I know it.
Why'd we wait so long? Hey, MR, what's going on?
Because there's only 4 Sundays a month.
Yeah, exactly.
Scooby-Doo episodes 9 and 10 will be the week after.
The podcast. Yeah, what is it? Yeah, I forget the episodes. Something.
Followed by Bedlam at the Bed.
Yes. Bedlam at the 10. Anyways, yeah.
Yeah. Then August 10th is Kolchak the Night Stalker. We're going to do the original movie. We have not done this. Dino did this with Ted many, many years ago. And we're going to go ahead and update that. Then we have Night Gallery and X-Files. And to go out the month of August, we'll just do one more Circle of Fear. So we have a fun month of August coming up.
Darth Raven, I have been binge watching your show since the dawn of the history. What? I don't know what that means, but
not bad.
No, I mean, I guess that means you're going back and watching all the old shows. So that's very cool. Thank you, Connie. Appreciate that. Please, links are above. I would appreciate anybody who would become a channel member. Also, I don't say it very rarely. Do I say it? Or a Patreon, and the links are pinned to the chat above. But comments after the video's done and thumbs up always help. So thank you for all of that, and I would appreciate if you did that.
And good night, Francis.
Francis is leaving.
I'm signing
Signing
off.
off.
See you kids next time.
Okay, later, Francis. I would say, do we do what's in Dave's drawer this week? No? Okay, let's move on. Okay, Nice X-Files and Night Gallery. I'm really loving these Night Galleries, man. They're so good. They're so good.
Oh, they're fantastic.
Yes. So let's get back to this episode of Men in Black with Art Bell. Dave, just start going through your list, as I didn't write nothing down.
All right, hold on.
Listening. So.
Did you hear about? I can't even remember the name of the island now. The Mavie Island affair, where UFOs, 3 donut-shaped UFOs, drop metal on ships.
But no. Did they bring that up in this episode?
They brought that up, and then Men in Black showed up, told this one person who saw it to keep their mouth shut.
They dropped metal objects dropped out of the sky from the UFOs?
Yeah.
The Mavie, yeah. Well, I'm gonna have to look that one up. That's very interesting. So does that mean the no further information though? Like the craft did not like fall apart, or maybe it was falling apart.
I guess so. I don't know. I
was in the UFO falling apart midair, and things fall.
Well, it happens to our cars. I'm sure it happens to them as well.
Wow. But I thought it was all encapsulated in like one full piece, like a
only
mold.
If you listen to Bob Lazar.
Yeah, a molded piece. Well, I'm sure there's some people who have gotten off planets interdimensionally who have like that beat up truck. You know what I mean? Like the poor aliens.
Oh no.
Yeah,
they're
the ones that are always crashing.
UFO marked in tow.
The Sanford and Son of UFOs.
Yeah. You don't start off with Mercedes UFO. You got to start off with a little, beater, and then you upgrade.
Can you imagine somewhere out there, Dave?
Yes.
There's a used UFO lot. UAP lot. No, UFO lot. No, it's a UAP. We should.
And we have to do that with that Southern accent because of the guy on Skinwalker Ranch.
Yeah, come on, we got ourselves a UFO. You wouldn't believe. You can see straight out the windows. They're tinted.
Rocket right through it.
You feel no heat going through those interdimensional portals. You don't feel them at all. Comfy seats. Hey, sit down.
No, we just lost our Southern audience.
No damn keys needed for you there, Sonny. What's your name again? Yeah, I don't know why an alien would have a Southern accent. That's the southern part of the universe. They kind of carry it along there, too.
Yeah, they just do it in ESP.
Oh, my gosh. That would be something else, man. But, coming through with their junkyard UFO. Anyways, I had something funny to say, but I think I just said it. Anyways, Dave, what's next?
Well, too, I was just thinking, how we get normally flat tires. I'm sure there's something that goes bad on UFOs, too.
The Autolio Illuminator is just out. Oh, no. We're 10 parsecs from the nearest Jews. Whatever. I'm going too far.
I think we should go to Chuck in Fresno.
Oh, jeez. Let's go.
Chuck in Fresno in 1978 was a kid. And he said 2 MIBs took him and his parents in a Lincoln Continental out to a field. And there was a warehouse there. And he goes, I had never been to this place before. He goes, I'm not sure if this was a dream or anything like that. But there was like this. He starts talking about this executioner. And he's like, put his dad's head down on the chopping block. And he goes, and then I woke up.
Yeah. So they were referencing dreams and nightmares and all kinds of stuff in this when Art started getting callers, and he had to keep telling them, come on, we're talking Men in Black. This is not on topic. Hey, PBR Street Gang, what is going on? Good to see you. And Albert Jacobs, thank you very much for the super sticker. Dog saying, "Hey, you!" Greeting joyfully. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Really do appreciate that. And again, thank you to Horror Junkie before the stream even started for the super chat, and JoJo for the $50 super chat. Thank you very much. And it's JoJo's birthday. She's not in chatting it up, but thank you. Happy birthday. Marshall. Hey, Dave, what's a subreddit? I'm too old. I don't know what a subreddit is. No, I know what it is. I haven't gone on Reddit. I probably should be posting on Reddit. It's like one of the, biggest search engines or website, whatever you want to call it, out there. So platforms. So I should probably, but I don't care. I've been doing this too long. I've reached a point to where I'm just here to have fun. I don't care to post. I'm done, Dave. See ya.
Bye.
Okay, no. What? On to the next. Hey, Jimmy D, what's going on? Good to see you. What's going on? Looks like we're stuck at 97 watchers. What's going on?
How many? 97.
Oh, 106. Everybody, please hit that thumbs up button. Let's see. How many do we have? 57 thumbs up, and there's 110 people watching. Please, please, please hit that thumbs up. I cannot believe that we only have 57 thumbs up. It's the other thing that bothers me. I don't like to harp on it, and I don't want to keep saying it, but you got to hit the thumbs up for YouTube. I mean, for the algorithm and for the YouTube channel to even be seen. I know he's sick of hearing it. I know. Even though I'm going to explain it, it's not going to matter. So might get 2 more thumbs up. Go on, Dave. Oh, he's typing a letter to his friend. You wouldn't believe this guy I'm doing a show with.
Every Sunday for 212 weeks.
What I put up with. Yeah. Ding. I just can't stand it anymore. Still sending out that paper letter. Woo, and he does a spritz of cologne on it. A spritz? Yeah.
Yeah, spritz, sure.
Yeah.
It's better than Banaka.
You can hit a heart for the very string for the very string. Okay, well, I'll look at it tonight. Let me put that Reddit down so I can maybe join Reddit and get it out there.
Thank you, Lizzie. Bo is doing great. There was also some talk in the latter half of this episode on cattle mutilations.
Yes, go on. What about?
So I always remember Linda Moulton Howe and her talks on this, but they found blood still, so it's not totally like bloodless or anything. But when they did tests, they found nicotine in the blood.
Yeah, nicotine. And evidently that's part of the tranquilizers they use for downing cattle and whatnot, wildlife. And Art Bell was like, nicotine? I thought that was supposed to like coffee, like caffeine, like
do the opposite,
going.
Right?
Yeah, and he's like, well, it is part of the ingredients, and that's all they ended at. Like, they didn't know why, but maybe it's if the nicotine wasn't there, it would kill and not just knock them out.
Well, it also dealt with the idea of spraying the fluorescence on these cattle, and also it dealt with bio-warfare. They brought that into it as well.
Hitting the heart bumps you up too. Yeah. Oh, and YouTube chat. Yes. Hitting the hearts. Yes. If you guys could do that in the chat too, please do. Let the hearts go flying up. It's off. If you're on a phone or a tablet, you hit that heart, keep hitting it as many times as you can till your finger hurts. That helps too. So yes. Thank you. It's hard to get people to do that. And I know you guys are interested in what we're talking about. So, but yeah. Okay, Dave. So what else? What's going on?
Greg in Anchorage worked as a nurse in a hospital.
Did he really?
And we had the Army officer who was there, and then he gets transferred by 2 Men in Black.
He got transferred by 2 Men in Black.
And they took all the records as well. Not the round LPs, but like literally the hospital records.
Yeah. Well, they did that to just eliminate him and erase him from history.
Yeah.
Was he ever found again?
Nobody knows.
Oh, jeez. So my husband's gone. I don't know.
Well,
These
I
two
think
men.
it's interesting too that, it's like when you take these types of records, man, it's like you don't exist at that hospital anymore. It's like,
Oh,
where are they
right.
taking you? We don't know.
Well, it's like a Seinfeld episode. Remember when if you get one mark in your hospital record or doctor's record, it moves on to everybody. Everybody can see your medical history. And Elaine couldn't get an appointment everywhere because she was a troublemaker and she was complaining. So the doctor wrote it down in her little history. He goes, okay, I'll write that down. And she goes, no, please, to the next one. She goes, please don't, no more. He goes, how about if I do this? I'll erase it. And he erases it. And she goes, you fake erase. That was in pen. So she ended up going to a vet over this rash she had. It was too funny.
I barely remember seeing that episode, and I thought it had to do with the massage therapist.
Oh God! Yeah,
where they all got notes to go see the massage therapist.
Yeah. The insurance fraud. Well, see what happened with this episode. This was a really good episode of Art Bell with Jim Keith. It really was. And for the first part of it, they really did talk a lot about the Men in Black and cases and stuff like that. Then we started getting into these like just callers calling in, and it kind of turned into, it was still a good show and interesting to hear some of these, but it did like move away a little bit from the Men in Black here and there. But yeah, I don't know, Dave. Anything else to talk about?
Well, we had also Roxanne from New York, and she was out in the backyard with her sister, and she gets called in for dinner, and her sister's gone, and she looks over the fence, and two guys are working on her.
What? Wait a second.
Yeah, they've got a syringe and everything like that.
Oh, yeah.
And she's like, she can't wake up. She's groggy and everything like that. And Roxanne's like, I had to scream for my sister, and the two guys again just kind of vanished, dematerialized, and
she didn't remember anything, so it's kind of a missing time type thing. But the woman who called in and talked about that was just like, she seems scared talking about it still.
Yeah, that was one of the ones that I really truly believed as a caller, because the thing is with Art Bell, if you don't know, this guy is an entertainer, right. And he's kind of like Bob Eubanks on the Newlywed Game. He knew when there was gold there, and he knew when to move on to the next couple.
Yeah.
And so
it's gold, Jerry. Gold.
It is gold. And he is an entertainer. He needs those really great callers.
Yeah.
And he gets rid of the bad ones. But this one is something that was really more of the truthful callers. So, yeah.
Well, how about one of the cases, like other than the Dr. Hopkins case, which was, one of the ones they touched on the show. Another one was the Albert Bender case from 1953 in Connecticut. Kind of an origin of the Men in Black legend, where Bender was he was the head of the International Flying Saucer Bureau, which I didn't really even know about this. It's the IFSB, Dave.
I never knew of that either.
Yeah, International Flying Saucer Bureau. He got close to publishing evidence of UFO activity. He was visited by 3 dark-suited men. Then he started getting symptoms. He started getting headaches. He was emotionally not stable. He was kind of like we would see on X-Files. There was a lot of what he called telepathic fear before these Men in Black came to visit. Like he was getting very anxious and a lot of strange nightmarish type things that were hitting him. But then they came to visit him, and they told him to cease the investigations and to never speak of them again, is what he said. And he did comply, and he dissolved the IFSB. That's why we didn't hear too much of it after 1953. But it was one of the first cases like this, and it did inspire Gray Barker's 1956 book. They knew too much about flying saucers, essentially birthing the Men in Black mythos. So go look for that book. So I never read it. Supposedly a really, really good book about the origins of Men in Black. But this case, the Albert Bender case, was supposedly the beginning there. But yeah.
Well, earlier on, if you're out looking for books, they mentioned Philip J. Corso,
They
and
do, yes.
you got The Day After Roswell. But with that, he also, Philip J. Corso, obviously he was responsible for bringing alien technology to industry in a very stepped pattern.
Yes.
We did a entire broadcast on his show probably a year ago.
Yep.
And he had a filing cabinet of material
And he
that
talked about Men in Black too.
he did. And it was with this, it's the idea that men who are basically who take care of any evidence that's left behind.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure that they would have been used during the Roswell crash and such.
There is not a stream tonight, an overnight stream, Mr. Ed. Can't do it every night, but I try to as often as I can. I upped it a lot more. So, if not tomorrow, if not tonight, but maybe tomorrow, should be able to do one. Anyways, Steven says, I've experienced shadow people. They were the hooded type, not the hat type. Creepy. Okay, interesting, Steven. Stories like that, you touch on just a little bit, and I'm just like, okay, now I'm intrigued to hear the whole story, but, okay. Dave?
And Marshall ended up lucking out with a signed Art Bell book, which is awesome, because he's not signing anymore.
No, and even back then, he would personally sign them and send them out. And
he would only, when you had an Art Bell event, he only would go to like one bookstore to sign in person. He didn't do like the book tour where he went to New York and, Chicago and places like that. He chose one bookstore. That's where he'd go to, and that's where you'd get your signed books.
Yes, 100%.
And Marshall also says the Nick Redfern show was excellent back in 2015. That was probably one of his last shows. I think he ended up quitting about 6 weeks later. And he, was this the Midnight in the Desert? Is that the name for it?
He went to Dark Matter on Sirius XM.
Okay.
And then he went to Midnight in the Desert, which was his own, basically just did that on his own. So yeah. Communion, the Schreiber. Well, you know what? That's actually, I would love to do. There's so many good shows, but I would love to hit the first Whitley Strieber where he came on Art Bell and talked about communion and stuff. So yeah, I think down the road here we'll hit that too. But with the streams, you guys, the Old Time Radio overnight, it can't be every night. I did Saturday, yet last night, Friday, Wednesday. I think I even did Tuesday and Monday. So 5 days out of 7. I think I'm doing pretty good getting back into more streams. But catch up on the past 2 nights, 3 nights. I'm sure everybody hasn't heard all those. There's some good episodes, especially in the CBS Radio Mystery Theater ones. Really good stuff. XM pissed him off how it was so broken. Yeah, and you know what? Honestly, XM, when he got Dark Matter and XM Radio, when he went on there to do the show, it did not reach a lot of people. It just didn't. Even Howard Stern, the dude gets multi-million-dollar contracts, but the audience isn't that big. So I think he was just fazed by that, and that's what made him think listen, I can get a bigger audience just going to the internet, building the website, and then having people come and sign up to however he did that. I forget how he even did that, but where you could get the episodes, after the show was done. But
If we only had a Talking Art Bell podcast.
we have that. so this is what you get. And the early years before me and Dave, and every now and then I do get an interview with somebody that I want to talk to. And I've interviewed a lot of people in the paranormal field, and you could look back on the Paranormal Into the Night on the channel. I've interviewed some very interesting people. One woman, MK Ultra, we talked about, and that was a deep, dark episode. And I'm trying to think of Marion. I forget the name. I forget her name. But look that up. There's a search bar on the front of the Late Late Horror Show page. If you hit that search bar, you can look up an episode, anything you want. So put in MK Ultra, it'll pop up there. So that's one I would say, go check that out. That's deep stuff, but lots of interest. And John Lear was a very interesting show.
Yeah, but I don't think that episode's up.
Is it not up? I'll have to check after this.
Yeah.
Okay. Huh.
That's a good one to listen to.
Yeah, well, I better get that up then if it's not up. How is it not up? Anyways, what else, Dave? Did we miss anything on this?
One last thing we should touch on. Sweet Indigo's comment there.
Okay. Let's see. Sweet Indigo. This might be off target, but I had a neighbor who was older. There was a star above her house. When she passed away, the star went with her. We believe that it was her husband who took her to the next. I get what you're saying. You don't even need to continue on. A star? Anything's possible, Dave. There are people who will also... Oh my God. I mean, there's so many different things we can talk about and ways we can go about this. Like, there's people who look up in the sky and go, those aren't really stars. That's not really the universe. That's not real out there. I mean, there's people that think that. And there's so many different theories and stuff. And could it be that those are all twinkling like spirits up there waiting? Listen, I'm just saying, we don't know 100%, Dave, right? Do we?
We don't, and we've got that soul thing on the backside of the moon from John Lear, since we talked about him earlier, and the idea.
Let's talk about that real quick. Yeah, John Lear. I think that's one of the weirdest things I've ever heard in an interview ever. When John Lear, talking to Art Bell, talked about the dark side of the moon. And he talked about a large tower that went up miles. And it shoots out souls, human souls. It shoots them out. And I thought that just was the oddest thing I ever heard, Dave. And it made, at that point, listen, I can only go so far too. I don't know. Listen, there's a lot we don't know or understand about the world, the universe, what's going on. We've talked about this a million times, right, Dave? We don't know. We're looking and we're theorizing everything. We're making hypotheses and what science is behind a lot of this, but hands-on, have we flown a ship to the next solar system? No, we haven't. We've passed through ours with Voyager and
barely
apparently too.
But
we can use that word apparently because I mean,
but that whole trip took another 50 years, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's out there now, and they say it's still sending signals. And I'm not saying I don't believe that. I listen. I believe.
How much sunlight is it getting? Isn't it solar powered?
Yeah, but there's even Pluto, Dave, is getting sunlight. So it's still getting sunlight. So where the limit is once it does pass so far past our solar system, where's the limit that the star, which is huge, still shown from Pluto? I mean, it's still a big object in the sky, not as big as here on Earth, but so there is still sun getting to Voyager, but yes, at what point does it go dark? That's what we're wondering. And does it go far? Who knows? We could get into talking about dark matter too, and the energy that's supposedly there with dark matter. So I mean, yeah, we can go all different directions. My point being is we don't know anything. We know some stuff. We think we know some stuff. I really do believe that there's planets out there in a universe, and that we're a little bug on this planet. And it angers me that we don't get to see anything else that's going on out there, because there's a carnival out there, Dave. I want a ticket.
And when we find out the truth, we can't tell anybody.
Well, if that's the case, I don't know. It's all things to ponder, and in future shows we will continue to talk about this. And but do we know what next Art Bell we're going to talk about? Did we put that down yet or not?
Yes, it is a Ghost to Ghost, because we're going to be coming up to Halloween.
Okay, so yeah. Ghost to Ghost will be the next one. But yeah, lots of things to talk about. Columbo before television, we had books. You know what? If you guys missed the stream last night, that first episode, what's it called again? It reminded me of a Columbo episode, Dave, and the lead detective in the CBS Radio Mystery Theater episode reminded me a bit of Columbo. It had that vibe in the entire episode, and I'm trying to remember what that was again, and I'm going to look it up just really quick because I want you to know and to look at this. It was called The Man is Missing, and it was about a Columbo-like character that was a bumbling detective going around, and he was trying to get the man put things together. Reminded me of Columbo, totally, and I think you would really dig that, Dave, if you check that out. Anyways, good show. 142 people in here, but
that's nice. Thank you for watching.
Yes, but
in our show we did Father Malachi Martin about 3-4 months ago.
We got up to 68 thumbs up. So okay, anybody who's here right now who hasn't hit the thumbs up button, the like button, please and thank you is all I can say. Please, and thank you. With that said, no overnight stream tonight. Please go ahead and catch up on some of the older stuff, and even last night. Not everybody got through 12 hours of CBS Radio Mystery Theater. And I made sure every episode was a good one, and I fixed the audio on them as best as I could. So don't let them go to waste. The stories are great. Again, a couple detective ones in there. There's one a little bit later on too that was really, really good. And thanks to all the new people who popped in the chat today. Check me and Dave out every Sunday. Check the description out below to go to Dave's channel. He talks about gardening. It's a friendly walk through plants and trees and flowers and everything in his yard, and you get to see Bo the cat, Dave.
Usually, yeah, she's in every episode. Yeah. And what's great now is I'm going back to my episodes that are like 3 years old, and you can see the amount of difference, the amount of plant growth you'll have in like a couple of years. It's pretty amazing.
Oh yeah, every week you get to follow it growing, and what's changed. What is Dave? I like that you've got that big section in the middle of the yard where you're already planning on a couple new, Japanese maples or something in there, a little bed going again. So, Stephen, fun show. I will return. Night, everyone. Thank you for being here.
Thank you,
And
Steve.
again, happy birthday, JoJo. And thank you for the super chat and Horror Junkie. And who was the other one? Albert, I do believe. $5 super sticker. Thank you very much. Love y'all. And until next time, Dave.